evening and welcome. Thank you so much for coming to the 2023 Global Travel Scholars Welcome Home Celebration. My name is Morgan McCrae. I'm a junior at Oakland Catholic High School, and I'm the 2023-2024 Youth Voice Fellow for the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh. I'm so excited to be here tonight to MC this event. We want to give a special welcome to those who joined us in person and virtually, and we also want to give a thanks to the Mayor's Office, our funders, board members, and council staff. We also want to extend a thank you to the parents of our Global Travel Scholars. Without you all, this opportunity would not be possible for our students. I'm joined tonight by the Council's Director of Youth Programming, Kathleen Newell.
Thanks, Morgan. It's a pleasure to be with you all here tonight to celebrate our 2023 Global Travel Scholars. We are pleased to be featured as part of City of Asylum's LitFest this year and to have our event hosted here at Alphabet City. So I'd like to welcome Alexis Jabor to the stage. She is the Senior Production Manager here at City of Asylum and will tell you a little bit more about City of Asylum's amazing work and programming.
Thank you both. Welcome everyone to tonight's program as part of the Pittsburgh International Literary Festival. As they said, my name is Alexis. I'm the Senior Production Manager, and you just heard a little bit about City of Asylum's mission and the work we do to help writers who are in situations similar to Shaub. And LitFest is our literature festival that is really connected to our foundation as an exiled writer sanctuary and to our mission to build a just community by protecting and celebrating freedom of creative expression. In addition to the Writer Sanctuary program, we host public programming, which you're seeing tonight, and we'll hopefully see some more as part of the next 2 weeks of the festival. We also have a bookstore, we also have this whole building and a partner restaurant. There's a lot of pieces of it. I won't get into all of it now, but if you ever want to hear more about it, I'm at most of the programs. Please feel free to grab me or one of my colleagues in a City of Asylum t-shirt or with a name tag. We're happy to tell you all the details. But briefly tonight, the LitFest 2023 lineup highlights global voices and perspectives, celebrates literature from around the world, and encourages cross-cultural exchange. This partnership with the World Affairs Council and the Global Travel Scholars really lines up with that LitFest mission, and we're very excited to have you all tonight. So thank you for coming, and I'll turn it back over to our hosts.
Thanks, Alexis. And again, we're so grateful to be partners with LitFest and City of Asylum. As Morgan mentioned, we are both part of the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh, and if you're unfamiliar with the council, we seek to convene and connect people around global issues to build a thriving, competitive, and inclusive Pittsburgh. Ultimately, our vision is to create a globally minded and globally connected world that is equitable and just for all. For the past 53 years, the council has had a special focus on serving secondary schools in the Western Pennsylvania region.
The Council's youth programs help young Pittsburghers apply and acquire the knowledge, skills, and mindsets needed to tackle all global issues. As a youth fellow, I have the unique and amazing opportunity to work with a cohort of high school students to create youth-led adult trainings that tackle important issues that face young people and our futures. From being able to work with full-time staff to being able to do this event tonight, the Council provides lots of opportunities for students to get involved with events that promote future readiness and global mindedness.
And the Global Travel Scholars Program provides a small number of scholarship to selected high school students to participate in a summer program abroad through World Learning's Experiment in International Living. This year, as always, was a highly competitive selection process with students applying from around the region. And ultimately, we are incredibly proud to have our 8 scholars who were selected to travel abroad in 2023 here with us tonight. Our scholars traveled to Ecuador, France, Italy, Japan, Spain, and South Korea this summer.
These 8 scholars join a network of 158 prior global travel scholars who have traveled abroad since 2004. As citizens in an increasingly interconnected world and participants in a globalized workforce, students need to understand and think critically about our world and all of the diverse perspectives, mindsets, and cultures that come with it. Global travel scholars participate in wraparound programming related to cultural humility, self-care, storytelling, and more. Now, it is my honor to welcome Pittsburgh Mayor, the Honorable Ed Gainey, to the stage to recognize our 2023 Global Travel Scholars.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good evening, everybody. How you doing? It is evening now. Before I begin, a couple things I want to do. One, I want to recognize the beauty of this building. It's been a long time. I used to walk by this. Years ago, I used to work for a gentleman named Tom Murphy when he was the mayor. And I know that this was a major block for him. And to see the development of this block and the beauty of this space right here is outstanding. And I just want to recognize that first, because I know what this block has been through and everything that's had to occur for it to look this beautiful. So before I begin, I just want to make sure that I lifted that up. This is one beautiful building, and I just wanted to congratulate everybody who had their hand in making this happen. This is beautiful. I don't know if that means I'm getting old or not, because I remember what it used to look like, and to come back today is something else. The second thing I want to do is for every parent that's here today, please stand up for a minute, please. Please, for every parent that's here, please stand up. Please stand up. I just want to recognize you and congratulate you on allowing, you can sit down now, allowing your children to go abroad. The reason why that was big to me is my oldest daughter, she's 28 years old, and when she was in high school, she wanted to go abroad. And school was going to take him, and they were going to pay for it and everything. And I said, well, you ain't going? And she said, why not? I said, because you're my daughter, and the world is violent, and if something happened to you overseas and I couldn't get there, I wouldn't know what I would do. And I ended up letting her go. And when I let her go, the young lady that left was different than the young lady that came back. When she came back, there was more tolerance in her in regards to real problems and to regards to poverty and people not having enough to eat. She got to see some things that her father never got to see. And I watched how it impacted her life. And I just watched the way she always volunteers now. And a lot of that she would tell you came from going abroad. And so to each one of you who have went abroad, I want to congratulate you, because you've done what most of your family and friends will never do. And that's amazing to me that you had the courage. Because had I been your age, it would have been real difficult to get Ed Gainey to go abroad. It just would have been real difficult. But I want to congratulate you, because I don't have to ask if you came back different. I already know you did. And so to the parents, I want to say congratulations. And I know that your heart was probably in your throat. If you were anything like me, and you allowed it to happen, but could you imagine the experience? Lived experience is different than education. Education is what you learn in a book. Lived experience is what life teaches you. And the greatest teacher I've ever met is this thing called life. So to allow them to be able to go over and experience life abroad and be able to come back better than when they went over there, I congratulate every parent in here. And I congratulate every student. So let me get to it. So I'm just calling them up, right? Now, if I mess up the name, please forgive me. So we're going to start with the first name because it's a little easier. First, I want to recognize Charity. Is Charity here? Oh, there we go. Here we go. Can y'all clap for her? So I'm going to read this one, but they all say the same. The certificate recognizes the critical global perspectives and skills global travel scholars bring to the Pittsburgh City region. Through participation in the 2023 Global Travel Scholars Program, you are prepared to enter a diverse global workforce with increased fluency in world language and the ability to compete and collaborate with peers cross-culturally. Ladies and gentlemen, can you give a nice warm applause to Charity? Mommy and Daddy, was y'all scared? Huh? All right. I know the daddies were. I know that.
Thank you, sir.
But you know, the other thing that is great as I keep reading these is that I always say I want to have the most welcoming city in America. I grew up here, and I know how siloed and segregated this city could be. And the one thing I learned when I left here was just how united in the rest of the country, the rest of the states that I've been to was. And I promised myself when I became mayor that I wanted to make this the most welcoming city in America. And we can't do it without diversity. And the fact that they went abroad to see diversity for themselves is just another form of bringing it home so that we could be the most welcoming city in America. Cherry? How you doing? Congratulations. So can I ask something? What's the number one thing you learned going abroad?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Being like patient with everyone around you and like caring for everyone around you was very important, especially within your group, because like we were all new to like this foreign land that we've never been together, together. So we just like watched out for each other and like it showed me compassion. Yeah.
Here y'all go. Congratulations. Can I leave it unbuttoned?
You can leave it unbuttoned.
Okay, thank you. You know what that means? I'm heavy, right? You know so.
Right there. Okay.
Anybody else?
Parents? Okay.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Brianna? Congratulations, Brianna, what did you enjoy about going overseas?
I loved experiencing a different culture than our own.
Wow.
It really opened my eyes to see how different and similar our cultures are.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you. And how is
Okay.
it?
I had my stomach. Okay, good. It's real deep. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sarah? All right, Sarah. Congratulations. So, Sarah, I see you have a butterfly. Let me ask a question. When you were overseas, what struck you as being something that made you say, wow?
Truthfully, when we stayed at our Buddhist temple stay, the views were breathtaking. It was amazing. I told my parents, you can ask them, they're in the crowd. I told them, I was like, you guys have to come live here with me.
Wow.
I am never leaving. This place is so beautiful. And I think it was truly the place that I had the most peace of mind.
Wow. Wow. That's it. See, that's awesome. Congratulations. Am I good? Okay. All right. Mom, Dad? You got it? Okay. Sarah, congratulations. Dakota? All right. So let me ask Dakota you the same question. What was it that you learned over there that you will take with you forever?
The difference between how people are happy down there, even though they may be poorer than us. They were a lot more positive and accepting of people that weren't even from their country.
Wow. See what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Congratulations. I got it right? All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ryan? How you doing, Ryan? Congratulations. Ryan, what did you witness over there or experience that made you say, wow? What was your wow moment over there?
My wow moment was definitely being able to meet so many new people. I met my group, my family, the locals. I met so many new and beautiful personalities that I know it will take with me forever. I must have met more people in that 1 month Thailand than like my entire life. So.
Wow.
Thank you. All right.
So if I say this wrong, forgive me. Binyan? Binyan. Okay. So what was your proudest moment over there? What was your takeaway that said, you know what, it's going to change the way I see the world?
So I learned to be more grateful about things because there was not many things out there, and I learned from my leaders that there's also a lot of diversity within Spain as well. So there was more cultures other than the Spanish culture as well. So
See, it's gonna come out, right? Justin? Justin, what was the moment over there that brought you the most joy?
Okay, let's go on. Okay. What brought me the most joy was being able to meet people very different from myself, being able to observe their culture, whether that's just the tip of the iceberg or their beliefs and their norms, and the food, of course.
What was it?
It was amazing.
I want to congratulate everybody to put this together. Each one of our young people that went overseas and learned. I'm going to end it with this. To become welcoming is to become acceptance. I tell people all the time, the only culture I knew in my life, you think about it, growing up, the only culture I knew in my life was black. I would be so shallow. What makes us rich is when we know different cultures, different people. Because at the end of the day, the more we understand different cultures, the more we become more of humanitarians of the world. And the road that you put these young children on is that now they have more tolerance, more love, more respect and understanding of other people's culture. This program right here made them a better person. And I just want to thank the people who put this together. And Mom and Dad, I want to thank you, because if you were anything like me, when my daughter was overseas, it was sleepless nights. So the fact that you let them go and they grew from that, Mama and Daddy, as much as I congratulate these kids, I congratulate you. God bless you.
Thank you for such. Ooh.
Oh, so you want me to fix that?
No, that's okay. Never been that tall, sorry guys. Thank you so much, Mayor Gainey. We appreciate all of your remarkable remarks, and we really hope you enjoy these stories tonight.
Yeah, tonight we're using storytelling to celebrate the transformative power of travel abroad. To quote from The Moth's How to Tell a Story, "When you choose to tell a story, you share a piece of yourself. Stories explain your heart, decode your history, decipher who you are, and translate it all to whoever takes the time to listen carefully. Stories are the currency of community. They tear down walls, unite cultures, and help people realize they're more alike while different, all while celebrating what is unique to you."
The theme of tonight's storytelling is lost and found in translation. All global travel scholars will tell a true 5-minute story of a time when communication struggled to have the same meaning across cultures, or of a time when it felt surprisingly familiar.
So now it's the time of the evening that we've all been waiting for to hear stories from our global travel scholars. These stories are true and personal, and we hope you enjoy them. Each student will come to the stage and have 5 minutes to share their story. So without further ado, let's get started.
Our first scholar tonight will be Brianna. In hopes of having an eye-opening experience abroad that felt beyond her reach, Brianna applied for the Global Travel Scholars Program and found herself spending the summer discovering French culture. Please sit back, make yourself comfortable, and put your hands together to welcome Brianna to the stage.
Thank you. So before I went on my trip, many people asked me, "What do you think they'll do over there to celebrate the 4th of July?" And I said, well, I don't think they celebrate American independence in France. So fast forward a couple weeks, there I was, standing on top of the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, France, on a normal day. And then it hit me. It was the 4th of July. My group members and I were surprised. It's just one normal day there, and back home, everyone would be celebrating. But little did I know that in just 2 weeks, I would be celebrating their national holiday, Bastille Day, just like it was the 4th of July. So there I was in Nancy, France, the day before Bastille Day, and my group members and I just got back from our daily activity, and we were on our way back, and I found out that there was a community party at the local tennis club. So when we got back to our homestay house, we found out that we were going. I was so surprised and happy that we were going because I wanted to see how they celebrate their culture and their holiday. So we went, and when I got there, I saw kids playing soccer, people on the dance floors singing and dancing to the music, and pavilions full of people that were eating, drinking, and talking. So when we walked over to other people, instead of like how we do here in America, shaking hands or waving, we gave love bees, which is the kiss on each cheek. And this was my first time doing it, and it was very awkward, I'll say. So as the night went on, I found myself on the dance floor singing to any American song that came on. And there was a fireworks show, and I was very happy to see that because we also have fireworks during our holiday. And so I found myself back on the dance floor, but this time I was doing line dancing, but it was to French songs that I had no idea what they were saying or some of the people that I was dancing with. I wanted to do them because I knew it would be fun if I just included myself and gave it a chance, and it was really fun. It was also my homestay sister's birthday that day, so we got to celebrate a little bit. So that was probably my favorite night there, and it made me realize that so far we celebrate our holidays very similarly. So then the day came, it was Bastille Day, and I was wondering, what are we gonna do on this day? So my host dad told us that we had to bake cookies, but I had forgotten that they use a different measuring system, so my host sister had to help me. The cookies did turn out really good. So the rest of the day we spent with 2 other host families, and we got there and we were having a cookout, but it's not like the typical American cookout with hot dogs and hamburgers. We had chicken, sausage, and like so many different kinds of salads. So the rest of the day we were all talking and listening to music, and then to keep ourselves entertained we played some games and card games. So, and then there were also fireworks that night. So this day did feel really familiar to me, and it felt like I was celebrating the 4th of July. But this time, I was across the sea in a different country with a different culture. So sometimes we may not realize how similar different cultures can be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brianna, for being our brave first storyteller of the night. Brianna has an important volleyball game, so she is heading out. So we want to wish you good luck and thank you for coming tonight. Our next storyteller coming to the stage will be Justin. Justin has a passion for culinary arts and how food connects people across cultures. This is something he emphasized to us in his interview for the scholarship, and we knew that the Italy trip focused on culinary training and culture was a perfect fit. So, Justin, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you all. My story starts in the middle of Calabria, south of Italy. It's 105 degrees outside, and I'm awoken suddenly by my host day brother, Mateus. And he asked me this question. It seems a little out of norm. Have you ever made fried chicken before? And I walk in the kitchen, my friends, my family, I've made fried chicken before many times. And I was wondering why he's asking me this, but he's never had fried chicken before, at least not in the American style. And he proposes that I make fried chicken, and his cousin, Federico, and Bautista from Argentina will make carbonara for the night. I wake up in a hurry. I see Bautista and Federico in the living room, and we rush off to the grocery store. We get packed in this little gray Fiat on a very hot day. As soon as you open that door, you feel exhausted from the heat already. It's almost painful. And we get in, we're on our way to their equivalent of Aldi's. It's Eurospin, and we get out the car, and we're already tired, we're exhausted, we don't want to really do much anymore, we don't want to walk, we don't want to move. That's just how miserably hot it was. And we walk up to Eurospin, and I walk in and I'm hit with this nostalgia almost. I walk into Aldi's and the smell, the colors, the format, it all reminds me of what I've been doing in my whole life here and going to grocery stores, especially Aldi's. And I speak English at this time, very little Italian, a little bit more Spanish. Federico and Bautista, they speak Spanish, different dialects, and a little bit of Italian and English. But Mateus, my homestay brother, he speaks all three. He's fluent. So I have no idea where I'm at. The cousins don't know what they're doing either. So we're all confused and we're all flinging questions through the air. Different questions in different languages, different dialects. And at this point, Mateus is confused. He's frustrated because different languages are flying through the air, people are moving, we're asking questions, and you can see this frustration build. We're all hot, we're sweating, we don't want to be here anymore. I'm hot, I'm tired. And we walk around, I separate myself to get some air, and I see chicken. I know main ingredient, right? But a whole 12-pack, it's only $1.50. It kind of hurt my soul a little bit, but it made me happy, you know. But it made me happy not have to spend too much. So eventually we do get through. We do get through the grocery store. We make it through the main bulk of our issues. But we step back outside again, still hot, still 105 outside, and we get back in this little gray Fiat. I swear it's hotter than the first time. And just four of us, we're not small people. We're all kind of packed in there. We'll hang out the window like dogs at this point, trying to get some air, and we'll hightailing it back to Federico and Bautista's place to start our cooking. At this point, the sun's starting to go down a little bit. We're starting to get a little bit of a break from the heat. It's still high 90s somehow. And then we get there, and we get into his house, and the windows don't open, barely. No AC, and the kitchen's maybe a little bit wider than I am. But we're still all confused, still all stressed out, still tired, and we start cooking. I put oil on the stove to fry the chicken. Federico starts preparing pancetta for the carbonara, and music starts to play. Our feet starts to move, we start talking, we start dancing, and that stress that plagued us before earlier in the day seems to lift. Our day becomes lighter, we're still exhausted and we're still tired, but now we're dancing, we're singing, we're smiling, we're joyous, we're happy to be there. And eventually we get down, we go to sit down to eat. I have a big plate of carbonara in front of me, almost too much. And right behind that's an even bigger platter of fried chicken. We had 4 packs. And I sit down, and like I said, we're all still tired. We're all still exhausted, and we all are still very hot. It's nighttime at this point, but like I said, we're all smiling now. We're all happy to be there, and we're happy to be in each other's company. And as the table gets cleared and people leave to go do the dishes, wrap up cooking, I sit there by myself, and almost what some people would call an aha moment. I had that this whole day, language was a barrier for me. The whole trip was a barrier for me in language, but the communication, it's not language. It's not just language. It's not something that's cut off at language. Communication can be something we share, anything. And for my case, the whole trip, really, it was culinary. I was able to share my experiences, my knowledge, and so did others with other people with my culinary skills. And it allowed me to surpass this fear I had of travel. And my dreams have become closer to me, knowing that I don't need to know their language to be able to communicate. I can make bonds that last lives. I can make memories that last longer. And it's a life-changing experience, and I'm glad I had it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Still not tall. Thank you so much, Justin, for telling such a beautiful story. Our next storyteller is Cherry. Cherry's interest in traveling abroad started when she met a foreign exchange student from Thailand last year. With the shoe on the other foot, Cherry headed to Japan to explore language and culture. Cherry, the stage is yours.
My story began like a week before I left for California. We were all planned to meet in California before we were able to leave for Japan. I met my group there, and at first I was really anxious to meet them because I was afraid that I wouldn't get along with them and that like we wouldn't have anything like else in common besides like wanting to go to Japan. But we had to spend 5 hours at the airport together, and that really helped us bond and connect a lot more than I thought we would. So I was very pleased with that. But before I started the program, I was told about the homestay portion of the program. We were going to live with our host parents for only a week, and at the time I was very sad that we would only get a week with our host family because I really didn't want to spend time with my group because I was like, I'm not gonna like them, they're not gonna like me. Like all these thoughts were running through my head, and all I wanted to do at the time was like, I wish we could spend like the whole month with our host family because I didn't want to see my group. And then once I met them, I love my group now, and I didn't want to like depart with them. And the night, like the evening of when we were supposed to meet our host siblings at the high school we were like attending, I guess you can call it, I was really anxious again, and I told one of my like close friends I've made on the trip, her name is Camila, that like I didn't want to spend any like, I didn't want to go to my host family, like I didn't want to see it, like so it was like the rule, like it was reversed now, and all I wanted to do was spend time with my group, like because it was like the last week that we had together in Japan, and I just wanted more time with them before I had to say goodbye. And I was very, very nervous. I was crying on our walk to the station to go back like to my host family, like to go meet them. But my host sister was very nice. When we first met, we greeted each other, and then I later found out that it was her birthday the day we met. So I was like, we went to the grocery store, and I offered to buy her a cake, and she said, no, wait, like my mom's buying me cake, so I didn't need to. And I was like, I was sad. But when we got home, I realized that like she had order in the way she came back home. There was like a certain thing she did and the way she acted. And then before like we celebrated her birthday, I realized that like they would all gather in the living room and like spend time with each other and like talk about the day and like what they did that day. And that made me realize that like it's the same as if I was back home, like the exact same if I was back home. And it made me realize that like even if you're like somewhere else in the world, like there's like similarities in the way you might spend time with family, or like the way you might, I guess, celebrate a birthday. And sorry, like it shows that like you don't need to fear the language barrier to have these connections and build these relationships with one another. You can be like across the world and like find this amazing family that welcomed like a complete stranger in to their home and like made me feel like one of their family members. And I am so grateful that I had the experience to experience it. Thank you.
Thanks, Cherry. Many of our scholars return year after year and tell us that the homestay component, which sometimes seems, I think, the most scary going into the experience, ends up being the most rewarding part. And we're glad that you shared in that experience this year, and also that you have a new family and a new place to call home on the globe. So our next storyteller will be Charity. Charity is interested in art, exploration, and languages, and that made the Japan program focused on anime and manga a great fit. To hear more about her time in Japan, please welcome Charity to the stage.
Thank you for coming. My story starts in the beginning of meeting my host family. As I was going with my group to meet my host family, we were supposed to meet at a local school, which was a school that I was going to be attending to for the next 4 days that I stayed with my host family. As I walked into the school, I noticed a big difference and a cultural shock, which was based on shoes. And this difference was that in American schools, we just wear the same shoes that we take to school with us, and we don't have to change them. In the Japanese schools, we have to take off our shoes and switch to the shoes that are for indoors. And something that became like a funny part for my group was that the shoes they gave us was really slippery, and so especially the boys, they like made it like a game for them, like sliding through the hallways and stuff. So it was kind of like more like getting to be comfortable in the place, even though we're new. And then walking into the classroom, I noticed that the aura was very vibrant and bright, and the Japanese students were there. They were like standing, having conversations. It was very like vibrant. And so as we were getting situated, we played games, we even played musical chairs. I didn't know that it would be something like we were going to do. I thought it was going to be something like maybe very local to the country, but I guess musical chairs is everywhere. And then as we were getting situated, it was time to introduce ourselves. We were sitting in a semicircle, and I was one of the last people. I was actually one of the last people to present, to introduce myself in the language of Japanese. So as I felt very confident with my abilities in the Japanese language, because I had put my time and effort into learning and also trying not to make mistakes. When it was my turn, I introduced myself. I said my name, my age, my hobbies, and then I sat down. Then I realized I had made a big mistake. To me, it was a big mistake. I did not say the other part of the introduction, which was nice to meet you in Japanese, which is yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So I sat down, and my friend, she was happy for me. She was like, you did such a good job. She was always like hyping everyone up. Her name's Helena, and today is actually her birthday. So as I sat down, I was like, oh my God, I made a mistake. I wish I could like go back to this moment again and just not make that mistake and say what I needed to say. But it was fine. Everyone was fine with it, and the teacher there, the English teacher, went on with the program and explaining like our our schedule for the next 4 days. And then it was time for the host family to come to the school. As my host mother and my host father arrived, my host sister was already there, by the way, because that's her school. So the host mother, the host father, and the host brother arrived. And as I was walking around talking to my friends and the other students, the host mother came up to me and she welcomed me into their country, and she told me that she was happy about meeting me. And then I greeted her and I said, "Yoroshiku onegaishimasu." So I did not make this mistake when I was meeting her, and that kind of alleviated the stress of not saying what I needed to say before. When it was time for us to go home, I thought the car ride home was going to be awkward, but it actually wasn't, because prior to going to the trip, I had written a letter which was recommended for the program to write about yourself and like basically who you are. I wrote about my identity of being a Kenyan, and I wrote about my interest in French, my interest in art, and language, of course. And so in the trip, my host family actually sang me a Kenyan song, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so home right now, because I felt it, in my heart. It was very familiar. And so as we were going home, I thought we were just going home straight, and then they took me to a French ice cream shop, and then we got ice cream there, and they were very welcoming. They told me how much they liked the way I spoke their language, and so this experience showed me how much that the different cultures they don't really look at your mistakes. They focus more on the effort you put into their language, and this was a big step for me, and it was also helpful for me to be more comfortable in speaking different languages. And a quote I would like to end this story with is, "Traveling is not reward for working, it's education for living," by Anthony Bourdain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charity. Many people fear traveling abroad because of that language barrier, but it is so refreshing to hear that it's not about the result, but purely the effort. During his interview for the Global Travel Scholars Program, Ryan shared his interest in peace building and connection with Asian culture, making the South Korea trip exploring K culture and peace building a clear match. Please welcome Ryan.
Thank you. So, if there's one thing I could take away from my trip at Korea, it's that, my roommates, we all made some bad decisions, right? It makes sense, because out of the 14 people in our group, the only guys were 3 others and then me. So it was always us rooming together, we got pretty close. So, but don't worry, we didn't do anything dangerous, so it's right. So my story takes place around the midpoint of the trip. So at this point, we had only spent most of our time in the urban, the city life, Seoul and Gwangju. Those are pretty large cities in Korea. But now we're in the most rural of rural places. So if you looked around, all you would see were just mountains and rice fields and maybe a house here or something. So as a result, we were super bored. We had just eaten dinner. We were just sitting in our rooms going there's nothing to do. So we were you know what? Let's go to find a Korean convenience store or gas station. Because at this point we were addicted to that Korean snack food. So we were let's just go out. And it was already getting pretty dark. So we were just let's leave right now. So one of the guys stayed back because he's a lame-o. So it was just me and 2 others. So we just headed down to the main road. So it wasn't a highway, don't worry. It was just we could see the gas stations when we were coming on the bus. We could look out the window and see the gas stations. Let's go to those. So we head up to them, and I call them gas stations, but bro, they literally had nothing there. We went up, we head up to the first one, and all we see is the lights are off and the pumps are off. Everything is off. We head up to the second one, which was a few meters, a minute run. We head up to the second one, there's pumps, there's lights, but there's no convenience store just linked to it, if you know what I mean. So we head up to the third one, and by now we'd been gone for 45 minutes. And I forgot to mention, we only have permission to be out there for 20 minutes. So So like the thought of like getting in trouble with like a group there was like in the back of my mind. So I was like, so we were like, yo guys, we gotta like head back like right now because like by the time we get back it's gonna be like over an hour and they're probably gonna notice. So we start running back and we're like trying to retrace our steps and like oh yeah we passed this house over here and like we made this turn over here. But like as we keep going on, we slowly start to realize that like, yo guys, we're lost. So yeah, it wasn't a good situation. It was actually pretty bad because we had our phones on us, but like it's so rural that like we didn't have any service, so we're basically useless. So we're just standing there just trying to discuss what we were trying to do. We had no idea where we were. And we're like should we ask for the locals like help or something? But it was like 10 p.m. at this point. It's like pitch black. The streetlights are flickering over. It's like a horror movie. And then all of a sudden like this woman comes out of the house next to us. Out of nowhere. It was like kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie. She comes out and just starts talking to us. Like I would love to tell you what she was saying, but like we had no idea what she was saying. She was talking to us in the most rapid Korean you could imagine. Like I can't even replicate it. She was like, we were just like standing there like looking at each other, just like. So, also the thing is, like my roommates, I forgot to mention this. 2 of them are black and 1 of them is Hispanic. So when the locals try to talk to us, who do you think they're gonna try to talk to? Like let's just be realistic here. So. It was, she's trying to talk to me. I don't understand any of it. None of my roommates understand any of it. We're just standing just like, we don't know what to do. So then, all of a sudden, she says in English, she says the word hostel. If you don't know what a hostel is, it's not like a hotel. It's just where a group of people can just stay together, not as expensive as a hotel. So we're just like, we hear her say that word. We're like, wait, yes, where's the hostel? Can you tell us where the hostel is? And we say it in like really slow, because I kind of understand it when you go like, do you know where the hostel is? We kind of say it like that. And then she points in like this direction that's like opposite to where we were going. It's like, oh yes, thank you. We're like, bro, it was so relieving to know where the direction was now. So we start heading off in that direction. And then like we run for a little bit, but then something, I feel the lights of a car behind me. So I look around, there's a car coming up behind us. I'm like, there's no way it's her, right? And it was her, bro. She was coming up in her car next to us. And then she like starts talking to us and like, I would love to tell you what she was saying, but again, like I didn't learn Korean in that time span. So she's just talking to us again, but like, I think she's trying to offer us like a ride to like get over to the hostel. And I was like, we were all like, no, it's okay. We'll find a way back. Thank you. So anyhow, if you're wondering how we got lost, yeah, we just took a wrong turn. So it wasn't that dramatic. So anyhow, like as we're running back, we're retracing our steps again. Like now we're recognizing the path that we took to get to the main road. Like I begin to like wonder how this might have felt to that woman that helped us. Like she had zero reason to help us. Like bro, if you should have seen us. Like it was 1 Hispanic dude, 1 black dude, and 1 slightly looking Korean dude all running together in the middle of the night. Okay, so I don't know why she would help us like that. Like I'm just thinking about it now. Like she had no reason to help us. So even her just like committing herself to like trying to help us find our way back, even getting into her car, offering us a ride, it just spoke to me and fundamentally shifted the way I view Korean culture. It's a very caring and compassionate place, regardless of any glaring differences. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Every time Ryan said, don't worry, that was for me, because I've heard this story before, and I'm like, you did what? You did what happened next? So we're glad you stayed safe, and also that you gained such a beautiful appreciation of Korean culture. Our next storyteller is Sarah. Sarah also shares a love for the South Korean culture and traveled in the same group to South Korea as Ryan, which is rare in our Global Travel Scholar program. Usually students don't travel in the same group, but both had a really compelling passion for the South Korean program, and so we sent 2 this year. And to hear more about their trip, here's Sarah.
Hi, and to clarify, I had no clue that Ryan did that. You should have seen my face when we did it on the Zoom call. No clue. And I honestly don't know how the group leaders didn't find out. But anyway, so my story is about how food brings people together. It's a little bit like Justin's, except our program wasn't really focused on food. And we were with our second group of homestay kids. And so I was with myself, 2 of our American kids, Robendi and Sophia, and their Korean homestay siblings. Mine was Yejin, Sophia's was Gaun, and Robendi had Yuten. And Yuten was the only one who really spoke a lot of English. Yejin and Gaun could get by in simple conversation, but Yu-chan had a very good understanding of it, which was really helpful. I'll be honest, especially because we went to a supermarket. And this supermarket was similar to a lot of supermarkets that we have here. And one of the first things that I noticed was how expensive fruit is. Fruit is wildly expensive in South Korea. I saw a different occasion, but I saw cherries, 600 grams of cherries, so about a pound, for what equals $12, 12 United States dollars. And that was wild. I've never seen fruit be that expensive. But we are standing in this store. I have no clue what we're looking for, but Yu-chan, Gaon, and Yejin did have the list and the recipe of ingredients that we needed. So I'm looking at them. They will not tell me what we need. I have no clue what we're doing. It was utterly chaotic. And so we go around, and we must have looped through the store 3 or 4 times because we didn't know how it was laid out. We didn't know where anything was. And we finally come up to this shelf that has gochujang and gochugaru. Gochujang is a hot pepper paste, and gochugaru is the hot pepper flakes. And so we had a little bit of a discussion on, do we need the paste or do we need the flakes? And it was very, we'll call it fun, to try and decipher whether or not we actually needed which one, because, like I said, Yejin and Gaon did not speak English enough English, I should say. But that was really the biggest hiccup. And so we get our stuff, we check out, and we go back to the place where we're going to cook. It was in the guest house that we had been staying at. Each of our rooms had kitchenettes, and that's where we cooked. And it had a fridge, it had, I believe they had microwaves, they had stoves. They did not have ovens, which was a little bit surprising to me because I'm very used to using an oven. But, they had kitchens, they had stoves, they had the important stuff. So, I had never cooked anything Korean. I had barely tasted anything Korean before the trip. And so, I am completely clueless. I look at Yejin and Gaon, I'm like, have you guys ever done this? And they're looking at me. They obviously did not understand what I was saying. I look at Yu-chan, I go, have they ever done this? He goes, them? No. It's like, that's very reassuring, thank you. And so we finally kind of figure out what we're doing. We boiled some noodles for a noodle soup, and kind of like felt kind of like we were haphazardly throwing ingredients in. We were like, throw this in there, that in there, that in there. Does anybody know how to cook tok? Tok are these delicious little rice cakes. I love them. They have my heart forever. And nobody knew how to cook tok. We argued for probably 5 minutes about how to cook it. And we finally settled on just throwing it in the pan with some oil. We were like, you know what? It'll do. And so I cooked the tok, and then I threw some sausages in there. And so what we essentially made was sorok, disassembled. And we put this sweet, spicy, savory sauce over top of it. And I have to say, I think that was the most rewarding and delicious meal that I had overseas, because it was, I had to work for it, and it was a very good thing to be able to sit down and eat something that I had made. So, in conclusion, food brings people together. Even though there were hiccups and we didn't really understand each other or what we were doing, food brings people together. It's always great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Global travel gives students the opportunity to gain a sense of independence and try a lot of new things, so we're glad you had that experience. Our next scholar is Dakota, who has diverse interests in learning about other cultures, understanding global economics, and taking photographs for his work in journalism. He jumped at the life-changing opportunity to explore Ecuador's beautiful ecosystems and vast biodiversity. Here's Dakota.
Thank you. So going on this trip, it was a lot of anxiety for me once I actually got to the airport, even though the whole time before that I was excited, telling everyone about the trip. But once I was on that plane, it kind of subsided because there was a lady there. She was really reassuring. She's flown over for 20 years, and she was actually going to Miami just as I was. We kind of talked a bit, calmed me down, and once I was in Miami, I was actually there a day early, so there was one other person with me, and we kind of met up, went to the hotel we had to, but as we walked out of that airport, it was just so humid from the storm that just hit. It was like a blanket of moisture hitting you. After the day went by, we kind of went to the airport to meet up with everyone else that was coming in. They were all super tired and just did not want to be on that next flight for 4.5 hours. Some were there from 4 a.m. Literally, one girl had to actually sleep in the airport. She was not excited about that one. But we kind of, all got along, went to Ecuador, and it was the most breathtaking experience. Just even when I was flying in, you saw the vibrant city, all the vibrant people whenever we got there, and just a culture that I've never experienced. A culture that some people talked about that they've experienced, but some just kind of judged without actually knowing what it was. But that's kind of why I went on that trip, to figure out what the truth was. And just going through Ecuador between the Golden Chapel we went to and like the Basilica where they actually restored ancient artifacts, climbing to the top of that with their sketchy steps from hundreds of years ago, definitely they were creaking, but we went up with it. To even going and climbing Mount Chimborazo, if you actually climb that ever, you're actually closer to the sun than anyone else ever has been. And it's also hard to breathe though. To even going to the Amazon jungle, swimming in certain rivers that you don't want to pee in. I'm sure all of you know about a certain fish that's not too safe. And also going and seeing wildlife that I've never ever seen. Eating fruit, ants, even drinking sap out of a tree. That's all really good for you and nutritious. Even being in Mindo, going way high up in the sky on a little rail car that was connected just by like rope. It seemed very sketchy and everyone was scared of it, yet I was willing to go on all of this stuff, no problem. And even when we were in the Galapagos Islands on the yacht, just pitch black all around at night. You can look up, see the shooting stars. It was just a beautiful sight to see all around that I never thought I'd ever be doing. That trip was definitely a lot to take in, just for the fact that we were going around all the time, never staying in the same place. And I've actually never even left Pennsylvania, never been on a flight, never even was on a boat until that trip. I actually even got to see a beach for the first time there. So one thing I did realize by the end of the trip was just the fact that I was so willing to do all this stuff that I've never done before, and it made me think like, wow, me being out of my comfort zone was actually where I felt most comfortable. Thank you.
Thanks, Dakota. We're so glad that you enjoyed your first trip abroad and soaked up all of the Ecuadorian culture. Our final storyteller of the night is Bigyan, who talked about in his interview wanting to learn about and bring awareness to today's most pressing global issues. So to tell a story from his time in Spain, please welcome Bigyan.
Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming. So my story begins on a normal day in Spain. It was very hot that day, like any other day in Spain. There was massive heat waves in Spain during the summer and across Europe as well. So it was a normal day at the residence. I woke up with my roommates, Quincy and Raphael. We were the only 3 boys out of the 15 in that trip. So it was like only us 3 boys. So we had to stay in one room together. So it was a normal day, and as always, we would get up and there would be breakfast down at the dining hall. So we'd go eat breakfast every day. And after breakfast, there was always an activity planned. So that day we had, I think it was a photography workshop. So we did a photography workshop that day. And after every session, we get free time until lunch, which is at 2 o'clock. So that day, my friends and I, Raphael and Quincy, we decided to go to a music store, but it was actually 20 minutes away, and we had a limited amount of time to come back to the residence. So Raphael and Quincy and I, we started walking, and we were like, oh yeah, we can make it. We can definitely make it. So we started walking in the hot weather. It was like very hot, very tiring. And as we're walking, and then Quincy starts to speed up. He starts to like go on his own. And then we're just casually walking, and then we're like, Quincy, slow down. Why are you walking so fast? And he was like, come on, guys, we're not gonna make it. We have to walk faster. So then all of a sudden we're walking, and then Quincy just like darts off. He's gone. So then me and Raphael were like, what is this kid doing? We were like the older kids in the group, so we're like, come on now. So we're like, what are you doing? And then we started walking, and then he's lost now. So then we start walking. We're in this like alleyway. There's like a bunch of stores. It's like a bunch of stores, and we like asked the locals, very broken Spanish during that time. So we're like trying to describe how he looks like, and like see if you like saw him, if he ran off that way. So we were like, have you seen this kid? He's like this tall. And then they're all like confused. They're like, I don't know. So then like we kept walking, and then we're just questioning, like we would be like, where would he go? Like, where would he go? So then we just started walking straight. We kept walking and walking. And he told us in the directions previously, he said like, guys, this is straight. So then we remembered. So we just kept walking, but we still couldn't find him. So then we kept walking, and then we were in this, the city center where all the buildings were and everything was. So then we were there, and we're like, come on, where is this kid? So then we didn't know what to do. So then we started to walk back, because like the time was running down as well. So we started walking back, and then we started walking, and we were like, we know he's gonna find his way. He's a smart kid. Like, we know he's gonna find his way back. So we kept walked back. We were walking back, and then Quincy, he comes out of nowhere. He's like, guys. He's like, I made it. And then we're like, what the heck? Where'd you come from? And then also he also had the ukulele, the thing we were going to get. So we're like, oh, you did it. You made it back, and you got the ukulele. So we went back, and we went back to the residence, and then the leaders, they weren't that mad at us, because we were only like, I think like 2 or 3 minutes late. So then we were just at lunch, we were discussing what happened, and then the leaders were like, oh, I'm glad you guys found your way back and stuff like that. So the key takeaway to this was, no matter what happens, always have faith in your friends, and also that communication isn't a barrier. You just need to think outside the box and be creative. So thank you.
Thank you all for such inspiring talks. Let's give another round of applause for our Global Travel Scholars.
We're going to change the stage around really quickly and ask that our scholars join us back up on stage.
Check, 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 check.
So at this point, we're going to transition to a brief discussion with our global travel scholars. So we'd like to open up the floor to questions from the audience. We'll kick it off with the first question, but then would love for you all to join the discussion. Actually, we're going to kick it off with your question in just a second. If you do have a question for our global travel scholars, please just raise your hand, and then a member of the team will be around with a mic for you to ask a question. If you are a member of our virtual audience, please feel free to add your question to the chat. So let's start there in the back with your question.
Oh. One of the most insightful things I ever heard in my life was a French guy here in Pittsburgh who said, a foreign country is a place where everything is funny except the jokes. So you touched on some of that, but I'm going to be direct. What are some of the funniest, which synonymously would mean weird or odd? What are the most funny things that you observed or experienced in your time abroad?
So in Japan, the place is like really clean, and so you don't want to. I mean, in general, you don't want to litter or anything. So this one time I was in Harajuku, which is a very famous place for its fashion, and it's very commercialized area. And so when I was I went to like a kind of like a 7-Eleven, and so I went to buy something there, but I didn't really like see anything I wanted to buy, but I bought like boba, and so I finished it and I wanted to throw it away, and then I was putting it into the garbage, and the guy goes, "Stop, stop, stop, stop!" And I was like, "What? I'm trying to throw something." And he's like, and then I think it was one of Cherry's group members. They were like, they don't take trash from anywhere, and I was like, "What? That makes no sense. How you guys want us to not litter, but you're gonna not take trash?" So that was like a funny part of my my trip.
Go first.
Okay, so that actually reminded me a little bit of something about the streets in South Korea. There's no litter, but there's also no trash cans. And it kind of just like shows the collective community of taking care of one another. But another thing about the streets, there are so many motorcyclists, and they all wear helmets, which was already weird because almost nobody wears helmets in America. But another thing is that they do not stop for you. You have to be jumping out in front of them for them to even try to brake. They will be headed at you full speed. It's your job to get out of the way. Which was just so weird. It really was. It was so odd.
Excuse me, I grew up in Chicago.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Anyone else?
I was kind of going to add to that with how crazy they drive in Ecuador, mainly because they don't stop. They'll straight up, if they do stop, they'll stop right in the middle of the road, right with you behind them. They don't care. They'll put on their four ways, get out of their car, go do their thing, and then come back. So you're expected to go around them. And I know the one funny thing was how my host brother wanted to come up here and drive. I'm like, it's not the same. You're going to have to drive completely safer. You can't drive how you're driving right now. Because they drove on either side of the road, just going right between people. They did not have any real good rules to how they drive.
I actually want to add to that. I'm glad I'm not the only one who had that same experience. Life or death situations every time you cross the street. As soon as I got into Rome, we went into the older part of the country, and the guy there, Matteo, he had a pep talk with us. Sat us all down. He said, "Okay, guys, crossing streets here, they speed up. It's a law to stop, but they don't listen. They go faster. They see you trying to cross the street, they will speed up." And he sits us down and gives us rules. And says, 1, don't look at them. Don't look at them in the eye. 2, stay forward. Go at the constant pace and just walk forward. And 3, don't stop. Don't stop. For no matter what. And at first I was like, serious? Then like, and he's like, oh, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. They don't stop. Okay. And then yeah, that was something. I'm glad that I wasn't the only one who had that experience. I thought that was only an Italian thing at first, but yeah.
I have a question. Why are you guys just highlighting the dangerous parts of your trip now that we're in public? No, just kidding.
Because we want to make you look bad, Kathleen.
Are there other questions from the audience? Is it getting, yeah, or is anyone else sweating, or was it just me?
I think we're all having a good time.
Sorry, we have a question from the online audience. Is there anything you learned about teens from the countries you visited that surprised you, such as music taste, extracurricular activities, pop culture knowledge, etc.?
Yeah. I'm gonna take the floor right now, because the funniest thing to me is that we met a group of Korean students, several of them actually, that I would say at least half of them knew Country Roads by John Denver. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I relate to that because in Spain they were like showing me TikToks and like all these memes, and I'm like, how do you guys know this stuff? And they're like, it just pops up. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but do you guys know the Ohio meme? The down in Ohio? Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. Also, the music taste, it's like the same as ours. They listen to the same music we do, rap music, pop music, like hip hop, anything.
Yeah, I was also able to find out that I started listening to a lot more K-pop than I had been previously before I went over, because there was just so much that everybody played.
Yeah, it was teenagers there. I was expecting to be different. I mean, we grew up in completely different scenarios, different cultures, different lives, and I got there and we were all eerily similar, which is kind of nice. I mean, it's like I said, almost the same music. They listen to Italian music sometimes, but music's the same, but everything's a little bit different. How they interact with each other is different. Their handshakes, their comments, their jokes is a little bit different. But overall, teenagers here and there, even though we're all very different, we're all just about the same. No one else?
A difference I noticed was in music. Well, it was mostly because of my host family, and they're mostly like very musical people and athletic as well. And I noticed that I feel like they put more effort, and for example, in the school, when we were in the school, they were on break, but they were still going to school to pursue their passions of like music and their sports like kendo and karate. So I feel like when I was there, I was like, I really wish I went to this school because of the activities they did. Like in our American school, it's like football. I mean, I feel like the American schools, they focus a lot on like football, but there was like, it was like a variety of activities that the school was proud of and put more effort into like music, which is something I'm interested in.
For me, it wasn't in terms of like music or the culture. It was more of the thought process, because Sarah and I, we both went to South Korea, and as you know, there's also North Korea, which is there's that ongoing issue as of now. So we were discussing with the teens like about like the issue, because we were at the DMZ, and we were like we asked them like, what do you guys think about North Korea? And because as you know, like here we think North Korea is bad, like we do not like them. But over there, we asked them like their opinions about North Korea, and they were all completely indifferent. Like they were like, oh, we asked them like, I don't really know, like I never really thought about that, and that surprised me a lot, because we thought with like South Korean like people like just saw North Korea like the same way as we did, like they're bad, like we don't like them, but they're completely indifferent to it, which was very surprising.
and the military service, like a lot of the young men that we met, there's I think 18 months of required military service in South Korea for all men, and they are most people are done with it by the time they're I think 21, or younger, and so a lot of them were like, they didn't want to go. They were like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go do this. I don't know why I should have to. And so I feel like that kind of drove the point home of peace building. But it was interesting to see that they didn't necessarily want to go fight.
Sure.
My understanding is all of you did a summer abroad, correct? Are any of you considering a gap year abroad? Oh, is any of you? Are any of you? I'm not a native speaker. Sorry. Are any of you considering a gap year abroad rather than just a mere summer school? I ask because in my case, I have 3 children. All 3 of them did a high school summer abroad in Japan. 2 of them did gap years abroad, one in France and the other in Argentina. And I'm wondering if that's something that you are considering now and the pros and cons of your consideration.
I wouldn't say gap year because I feel like if I was to take a gap year and travel, I probably would not go back to school. So, so I feel like I would want to do like an exchange program with a college, like study abroad, and I definitely would go back to Japan again. There's so much that I didn't like. It was like 3 months, 3 weeks. I mean, so it's a long time to be away from home for like the first time, but it feels like home now after being there. So I would really want to be back again for like some study there.
I agree with Charity on that actually, because I know if I took a gap year, my parents would be like, hell no. So, like study abroad in colleges is actually a very attractive thing that I'm like looking into now that I've gone on this trip. So I'm definitely would be looking into that instead of like taking an entire year off just to go travel abroad.
Yeah, I also agree with Ryan. I would consider going in college because I know many colleges offer like study abroad programs. Like my friend, he went to Italy for study abroad, and he's going to Czechoslovakia, I think. So yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about gap year and somewhere else, but college, university. Before I went to Italy, I've considered it, but I never really found or thought of higher education as my next step in terms of universities and colleges. I toured a place called Unisig. 1, it's way cheaper than U.S. schools, way cheaper. 2, it has everything I want. 3, it's across the seas. It's far away, which is tough, but I'm glad that I found the place. I was able to tour it. I told my mom this that day, and she asked me, "Are you serious? Really?" Because she knew before I went on this trip, I wasn't considering this higher form of education because I'm already in the workforce. So, yeah, if anything, I'd be traveling to Italy to do a bachelor's in gastronomic sciences.
So, as Morgan mentioned earlier on, we do wrap.
Can I respond to what they said?
Sure.
Sorry to be talking so much, but this topic really interests me. I did a gap year myself when I graduated from high school. In case you haven't perceived it, that was quite a while ago. Sometimes people don't do gap years. My gap year was in Madrid a long time ago. Some people don't want to do this because they think, oh, a whole year, oh my God, they're going to be gone for a year, etc. But what I tell young people is, imagine that you're 35 years old. Does it make a dime's bit of difference whether you graduated, say, college at the age of 22 versus 23? No, it does not, okay? And a gap year brings all kinds of benefits to you. It changed my life, for example. I would have been a different person had I had I not gone for a gap year. In my case, I went to Madrid a long time ago. Okay, so anyway, I'm offering unsolicited advice. Think it over, and if the concern is wasting a year being off in a gap year, don't let that be an important consideration. It can change your life. It can change what you want to do with your life, and those are good things.
Thank you for sharing.
Shut up, I promise.
So in preparation for our travels, we do 3 pre-departure orientations with all of the students. And one of the big themes of those programs is the concept of pushing outside of your comfort zone in order to experience learning and growth, really challenging yourself while you're abroad. And we heard in many of these stories the many ways that you all were pushed outside of your comfort zone. So I'm wondering if anyone would like to comment on how they feel that they have grown as a result of doing just that.
Okay, nobody else is going to talk. So I was brutally homesick while I was in South Korea, and I cried probably 2-5 every day. So one of the ways that I changed is that I really learned to be more appreciative of my parents. And now my mom does my laundry again. I had gotten out of that. But I'm so sick of doing laundry that she's still doing it for me. Thank you, Mom. But she told me that there's like a noticeable difference between how I left and when I came back. And I really did learn to appreciate my parents more. So I think that's really one of the biggest ways that I grew.
I'd like to add from what I said about my story, how I never left Pennsylvania until that trip, and then I just flew the whole way out of the country. That's a big jump, especially for first flight, first time being on a boat and all that stuff. It was a lot for me to take in, including I was already interested in traveling. I just never actually did it because I didn't have the time. But that opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me, possibly traveling again, either with my roommate to France, where he's from, or even to other countries like Sweden and Switzerland and Peru for what people have suggested for me.
One of the things I really took away leaving Italy was, sounds a little vague, but like perceiving information a little bit differently. Being able to sit down with somebody and be fully open to what they say, knowing that everything they say is not going to be black and white. It can be colorful and very other things. And I just have to be not cut off by things that I think I know or things I think I should know. And coming back to the U.S., sitting down to talk to everyone, any person is valuable. Before I left, I mean, I took interest in listening to people, but really now I really want to listen to everybody. Listening and communicating in ways other than language have really changed my life after leaving Italy.
One thing I took away from this trip is being like overall grateful for what I have, because in Spain, sometimes there weren't that many good conditions in Spain. I remember going to this one shelter home for refugees that migrated to Spain from other countries, and we had to volunteer there. And I could see that everyone was helping in some way. Everyone was contributing to the shelter as if it was their home in some way. Someone would be cooking or like baking. I was one of the people who were helping baking, and the woman there, she was just a wonderful woman, and she was helping all of us. So yeah, and they built everything there from scratch as well. So yeah.
I would say that it made me more confident. Before going to this trip, I was someone that was like very quiet. I didn't really talk to people that much. And so going to this trip really pushed me to, and I made friends after it. So that was a bonus. And also, it made me be less, maybe more open to the people that I come across, like the friends that I made. And also, I think that I would really tell people to travel if they can, and if they can stay in the place for a longer time, they should, because it makes you become more yourself. When you're tied to a specific place, you kind of feel like you should be what the people in the place you grow up with perceive you as. So I would say that it makes you more it gives you a different look of the person you are and the person you want to become, and it's much easier to do that when you're away.
Just want to add something. Sorry, I feel like I'm cutting people off. It kind of goes in what I was saying, but just a little bit different. Being aware of my own biases heading into a new country was very important to me. And leaving it, that really helped me understand people, meet people, and now even here and back in the States, acknowledging that bias that I can hold through my upbringing, through my culture, is important to learning more about others. That's another thing I just really got.
Thank you for all of those beautiful comments. I think we have time for one last question, and it's from our virtual audience.
Yes, and that's actually kind of a good lead into it. Anna on the online audience says, "Thank you all for sharing your stories. It was such a joy to hear about your experiences and reflections. As an educator, I think it's important that students also interrogate the privilege of travel. I'm curious about your observations of power, privilege, or positionality and how they played out in your experiences, or perhaps while reflecting back on your experiences."
I wanted to talk about how there was a conversation I had with my host sister. I was asking her about because she was also a junior. I was, I guess, a junior as well because it was the summer. I asked her what she wanted to do, after high school, and she said that she hoped to do a exchange program like I did. So I asked her oh, do you guys have a program like this here? And I was very shocked to find out that they had nothing, they have no opportunity like we did. They would have to fund it out of pocket, and would have to there was not a lot of resources for them to be able to do what we did, and I'm very grateful for that. And
okay, I don't want to cut people off. It's so and so. I just something. It's pretty related. The difference in violence between our culture and theirs, in our society, violence can often be appreciated, worshipped. I mean, we watch football and we all cheer when some guy gets hit, or boxing is not as popular as MMA because MMA is bloodier, but their violence wasn't as present in their everyday life. I didn't see forms of violence. It was usually a more lax culture. Their culture was more appreciative of being able to spend company with each other. In terms of power differences, misogyny was very present in my experiences. I seeing this, and I was made aware of this by Danny, a person who has been in that country before, and girls in my trip also had this problem many times with full adult men who are approaching them. That's unfortunate. I mean, it's part of their culture. I mean, and that's just some of the things I've observed while out of country.
Yeah, so I'm going to add on to that. South Korea was once part of one of the Chinese dynasties. Don't ask me which one. I don't pay that much attention in class. I really hope my history teacher's not watching that. But South Korea was once under Chinese rule, and one of the main beliefs of China is Taoism. And it is very respect-based. So there's the 5 relationships. One of them is husband and wife. There's the child and parent. And so it was interesting to see how that still plays a role now. Sorry, that's not Taoism, that's Confucianism. But, there's the whole hierarchy, and it was interesting to kind of see how it still plays a part in society today. And though that is still a thing, everybody's very respectful to each other. You always say hello, you always say goodbye, you always say thank you, you bow. Bowing is a very big thing. I think I truly perfected my bow for the amount of times that I said thank you and hello and goodbye, so on and so forth. But it was definitely interesting to see the differences in positions of power, and it was also kind of weird because I was told that, a lot of moms and a lot of children are expected to do things, and I didn't really experience that in my homestays. Both of my homestay mothers, my omas, were very caring, they were very kind, and they kind of took me under their wing as, one of their own, which felt really amazing, especially having been so homesick. But they didn't really let their kids help around the house. So it was weird to see those two different forces at play.
All right. Thank you so much for all of your thoughtful responses. This does conclude our Welcome Home celebration. I just want to say again, how proud we are of all of you, both for your bravery in traveling abroad, applying for the program to begin with, and then being here tonight to share your story and experiences with us on stage. It takes a lot of courage to do that. We are so proud of the leadership skills you've all developed and exemplify, and all of the leadership you also bring back to our region. So congratulations to all of you. One more round of applause for these folks. I also want to just thank again our partners at City of Asylum and plug LitFest. We hope you'll take in some of their other programs.
As for our audience, we look forward to seeing you all at many more council events, including our upcoming soiree fundraiser this Friday, October 6th, and a community bike ride focused on climate action on Sunday, October 22nd. You can learn more about these events and all of the council's programming, including the Global Travel Scholars Program, on our website at worldpittsburgh.org. And please stay up to date on when applications open for the 2024 Global Travel Scholars Program by signing up for our newsletter or following us on social media.
Thanks. Also, I want to give a shout out to Morgan off script for co-emceeing tonight. I think she did an amazing job, so applause for her. We have lots of food left over. If you'd like to hear more from our scholars or about how to get involved, our team is here and the scholars are here as we wrap up. Thank you all again to our virtual audience and our in-person audience for celebrating with us, and have a great night.